Welcome to Craig Bag Show.
Actually, I'll do it louder. Hold on.
Smack that ass. Sorry.
Best way to
Can you imagine?
Okay,
you ready? You ready, David?
To your YouTube videos is just
Boom, right? Okay, you guys, welcome to the Katie Black Show. I'm with my friend Autumn from Stoopid Sweet Bakery. What's up?
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm okay. I'm surviving. I'm doing all right. I'm taking it day by day.
Thank you. Yeah, I asked Autumn off mic and she's like, I'm good. And she's like, wait a second, I don't know. You know?
On second thought.
Well, because I feel like everyone, and me, myself included, is so programmed to be like, I'm great. I'm great.
For sure. Yeah, you just want to be polite, you know? Because it's like, how much do people really want to know? Like, do you want to like take up people's time? I don't know. Just to be polite.
That's a good question. That's a good question. Something to ponder. Okay, so I've only known you about a month through the connection of Rusey Woo. Shout out, Rusey.
Shout out.
Who slid into the DMs.
She did. For some cookies at first. For some cookies. And actually, I remember the day that, because she ordered some for her parents. And she wanted them delivered to their dry cleaners. And so the day I made their delivery, I took them to the door and I was like, hey, are you guys Rusey's parents? And her mom was there. And I was like, she ordered some cookies for you guys. And she was like, oh, thank you. And she was so really appreciative. She was like, thank you so much. And then just then Rusey's dad was coming in the door. And then her mom told him that I was bringing the cookies in. And then he tipped me $2. And it was so funny because it was literally like, I don't know, the second delivery of me actually being like officially open. She was one of the first people to order at all. Just out of nowhere, she was just immediately, it was just like, oh, this looks great. I just want to try this. And so, I don't know, it was a really funny experience for me because I'd never been tipped for a delivery before, much less.
You're like, I'll take it though, right?
I was like, thank you. I appreciate it. But, yeah.
That's awesome. So, when was your bakery like established? Like, when was it born?
Officially, first day open taking orders was April 18th this year. Wow. So it's young. Yeah.
So, how did you get into like the business?
Into the business or like into baking?
Well, I guess the same thing. Right?
Well, yeah, I guess as far as like getting into the business, I around December decided I wanted to leave my job because I've been baking on the side since I was like 18, and I've always like, oh, I want to open a bakery. I'm going to finish school and open a bakery, and then fast forward a couple years, I'm just like going from like job to job and like progressively like making more money. But then I was like, I'm not satisfied. I'm not happy. And so eventually, towards the end of last year, just the situation at the job I was in, it was unbearable.
Sorry, so you were unhappy at the job and you're like, I gotta go.
Yeah, and I was just like, I can't do this anymore. And then I was like, I have skills, I have talent, I have things I know how to do. I'm resourceful. And so I was just like, all right, I didn't put in the 2 weeks. I left on a Friday and I just didn't go back. But I left like an email, like I'm not gonna send or something, I think. But yeah, I honestly, the good thing was like in past like recent years, like around Christmas time, I would do like different like bake sale kind of things, just like Christmas cookies, like for different like businesses and stuff. And then I would do like small like catering events, like graduation parties and stuff. So I already had like a small kind of base of people who knew I baked. And so that was another thing that honestly kind of just like pushed me into, just giving me another level of confidence. And so just like, I don't know, just taking that like, all right, if I know I can do it, just do it more, I guess. Better, like actually try, you know, for real. And so I started researching how I could get it started, and then I found, I don't know, I just went on like the North Carolina Department of Agriculture website and just read every article I could. I spent like the first, I don't know, all of last December, I was just like doing research, like looking stuff up, just seeing like what I can do. But I told myself that in the new year, I was like, this has to be done. And so, yeah, it was just research.
That's exciting, though.
It was exciting. And so, like, the closer I got to it, and as I was, like, going through the hoops, which weren't that many, I realized, I was like, oh, so this whole time, all I had to do was like send a few emails and call a few numbers and fill out a couple applications, and that's all it took. And I was waiting, what, like 7 years after I knew what I wanted to do. But I don't know, I was just thankful, and I don't know, I was just thankful that I finally found the confidence to do it, you know?
Go you.
Because that's what I needed.
Yeah.
Just to like push myself.
Well, it's good because I feel like, or even too, like, if you know all the answers like right off the bat, isn't that boring? Isn't it fun to find out later? Like,
yeah, and that's the thing. That's the thing. And that's what I'm kind of like realizing. And it's funny because like the last couple of days I've I was gonna say I've been telling people, but it's just like my mom, my boyfriend, and my best friend. It's just like, 'cause that's the only people I actually talk to. Just like mentioning that I'm noticing that I crave change and I want to be on the move. I want to be doing different things. But like up to this point, like in my life, it's always just come out as like indecisiveness, like impatience. And I'm at a point where I'm like, okay, well, if you crave change, then like funnel that into like, I don't know, like seeking opportunities and like natural growth, because as you grow, things will change, you know. And so, I don't know, just trying to find a balance within myself, trying to figure out how my brain works, like work with it, because I'm stuck with her.
No.
So we gotta figure this out.
I feel you. Well, props to you just for like doing something that like you wanted to do and executing it. I feel like even too, like, I mean, granted, I don't know, do people all the time be like, oh, I'd love to start a bakery? Do they do that?
Yeah, they're like,
it's interesting because people do that, like, with what I do too. Maybe, I don't know.
It's just like, I don't know, it's one of those things, and I'm the type of person, I'm like, oh, just try anything, and that's why for so long I just felt like I didn't know what I wanted to do, because I just wanted to try so many things, and so I just like finally had to like ground down. But like when people say like, oh, I wish I could do that, and I'm like, you can,
You have to do it.
like you just have to. Yeah, it's the thing, which I had to like realize myself, you know. But it's just like, I don't know, it's funny.
It's very interesting. Well, what's the story behind your name? The name?
Stoopid. Honestly, this is okay.
Say it.
Okay, so this is the second. It's not even. This is the second time someone's asked, and I avoid this question because I don't have an answer. And like, because people are always like, ooh, like that's like stupid sweet. That's so funny. What does that mean? And I'm just like, I thought of it one night, and it was like really late.
It just came to
and
you.
I really liked it. Yeah, but honestly, I had the thought for the name like some years ago, but it was just always just in the back of my head. And I know that at one point in time, I was throwing around Shelly's cookies because my middle name is Michelle and my dad calls me Shelly.
Oh.
And so, but then I think I have to like explain that to people every time. And then also, I just don't want to be saying my full name all the time. Is that weird?
No, I feel you.
I'm just like,
Well, because it's like a story, right?
Yeah,
Like, it's just,
yeah,
I get that.
every
That's
time.
my name as well.
But so I just always had the name in the back of my head, and I was like, well, I've always thought it, so why not?
Let's go with it.
Yeah.
You know what's funny is when I think of like stupid, like stuff like that,
Yeah.
it's like when I used to like say something funny or like off the wall, and someone would be like, "You stupid."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, it doesn't
Yeah.
actually mean I'm stupid.
Yeah, like you're like that was like silly, like that was dumb. Yeah,
Yeah.
That's so funny. That's so funny. Yeah, exactly.
Well, where did you grow up?
So, I was born in Durham, in North Carolina. I was born in Durham, and I think I'm trying to remember. I went to preschool there, and we moved to District Heights, Maryland, when I was pretty young. I can't remember how old I was when we moved there, to be completely honest. So I'm guessing I was pretty young. And so we were in Maryland until 2005 when we moved to Charlotte. But I loved living in DC. I love, like, because we were in like District Heights, which is like a stone's throw. I remember like walking to school with me and my brother, and then like we'd leave school, have to go get on the train, like ride the train to my mom's job, and just like sit in her like guidance counselor's office like until like the end of the day, and like it was fun. I always have fond memories. Yeah, and then we moved when I was I think like right before I turned 10, and then we came to Charlotte, and yeah, so I've been here since then. And it's funny because going from me, my family, the 5 of us, we collectively say that like once we all got to Charlotte, we got fat. Because we had to drive everywhere. because when we were in DC, we would always walk, and like there was always like some festivals, but on the weekends, we were just always out, like walking together, like because it's like you look at the family.
I love that story.
It's just so funny because literally you look at a family photo of like right before we left District Heights, and then a family like the first Christmas like in Charlotte, all of our faces are just like, and it's funny, but we settled in. It didn't take extremely long to settle in. It didn't take extremely long to settle in. It's really funny that you say that because like literally like my fucking middle school is like
Down the street.
Down the street.
Yes, shout out. We are at Mint Hill Roasting Company,
Mint
Coffee
Hill
House,
Roasting
baby.
Company and roasting. Yes, and Coffee House. I can't.
What up, Mint Hill Roasting Company and Coffee House, established 2017. Come
2017.
Come check them out. Very cool patio. We appreciate them letting us do this today.
Thank you, Annette. This is honestly a really beautiful place, and they have a really great menu. Seriously, I don't know why I couldn't pronounce the name because I'm here every other day.
Well, I don't even think I don't know if I read it correctly. But so I grew up in Charlotte.
Yeah.
So what was like growing up in Charlotte and all the change and shit? Like, do you love it? Do you hate it? Or you don't care?
Okay, so growing up in Charlotte, I hated it. Like the second, like all throughout high school, I was like, I hate Charlotte. I fucking can't wait to get out of. Like the second I could take driver's ed, like
That was your freedom card.
Yes, I was like, I was like, when I got my permit, I was like, I need to practice, I need to be on these roads, I need to be in the streets, and like, I was like, I need freedom, and so, like, the second I could drive, I was just, like, out of the house, and going around Charlotte as a 16-year-old being like, there's nothing to do, and I'm like, obviously, like, looking back now, I'm like, you're sick, like, you need to be in the house, like, there shouldn't be anything for you to do at, like, after midnight, like, no, you're 16, like, no. But, so, growing up like that, like, in high school, going to college, and I went to ECU, and, are you familiar with Greenville, North Carolina, ECU, Pirates, anything?
Well, yeah. I mean, I know.
Just, like, super college
Yeah,
town
no, I know
type.
what's up, but I've actually never been to ECU or anything like that.
Yeah, you're not missing anything. It's another college town, honestly. It's so tiny.
You know what's so weird, and, like, which is, like, a really weird fact?
Yeah.
Is that, like, so growing up, we had a neighborhood of, like, older babysitters, like, just like all types of kids age.
Yeah.
And I remember one of my babysitters and her friends told me that, and granted, this is, like, in the 90s,
Mm-hmm.
but she was like, ECU is, like, the STD capital of the state. Have you heard that?
Yeah, I heard that.
Where does that begin? Like, where does that rumor begin?
I have no idea. But, like, like, growing up, like, I mean, I have family in Greenville, and my mom went to ECU, like, several people on my dad's side went to ECU, and so I grew up, like, in my family hearing all of these, like, great academic things about ECU, and then, like, outside the house, I was like, ECU is a party school, blah, 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 and so I'm, like, a teenager, like,
Which one is it?
Yeah. But I don't know, I don't even know how a school gets that kind of reputation, because, like, what, like, public college are you going to go to?
That doesn't have STDs.
Yeah, I'm saying. I'm like, I guess, are they, like, keeping statistics? Like, I mean, I'm sure they're keeping statistics.
I'm sure it was
but,
just, like, a horrible rumor that's got stuck. Because, I mean, I'm every college has
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I remember when I was a senior, after I got my acceptance letter, I was so proud and so excited. But all my friends were like, oh, you're going to party school, you're going to go get drunk. And I'm like, yeah, for sure.
So what was it like when you got there?
A party school. I always tell people, like, when people would come visit, because a couple of my friends from high school would come visit periodically, and they're like, oh, like, we're gonna get so drunk, we're gonna get so trashed, blah, blah, whatever, and I'm like, it's as much of a party school as you want it to be a party school, because, like, I mean, but I'm like, that could be any place, I mean, you could very easily just, like, sit your ass in the dorm or your apartment and just, like, not go out.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's not like you can't walk. Well, depending on where you stay. I guess if you're staying, like, literally right off of campus, like, right in downtown, you probably can't walk to the corner store on a Friday, Saturday night without seeing some ruckus. But I'm like, it's a college town. Come on now. So, I don't know. It didn't seem to me, after visiting any other kind of colleges, like, as, like, a partier, not just, like, going to, like, see it or whatever, to tour. Like, I don't know, it's the same. I don't know.
Did you love it? Did you have fun?
I had fun my freshman year. my sophomore year was alright. My junior year was a lot better, but then towards the end, that's when I ended up leaving school because I was just so depressed. I was so depressed. And the thing is, it's fine. It's easier to talk about it now, kind of, a little. It's just like thinking back, it's because I always tell people, I don't like to talk about it, not because I'm embarrassed of depression, but because like you would expect there to be like some like big like event. But the thing is, like on paper, like I have my own apartment, and I had just been made like assistant manager at my job, and like I was in school, and my grades were fine. Like I had a car, like nothing was like wrong, but it's just like I don't know, just the cycle of like class every day, coming home, working all day on the weekends, going out, and then just like the same, like constantly over and over. I just like I don't know, I just like broke, I guess. But I left, and then I came home, and I went back online. Like I took a semester off, and then I went back online for like one semester, and I was just like, I can't do this. I was like, it's just like this is too. It was too soon. It was too soon. And then since then I've just been working, and then like trying shit out, trying to figure out what I wanted to do. And so it's been
a journey. Yeah,
it's been a journey for sure. And so now I feel like I'm 25 and I know what I want to do. That's what I was kind of saying earlier. Like I feel like 25 has been like a reset on my 20s because I spent the first half like not knowing what the fuck was going on, literally. And so, and then other thing is too, like, I don't know, it was just like a lot of bullshit at once. Like I left school, like I was super depressed, like I was diagnosed with Crohn's, like it was a lot. But I'm a lot more sure of myself now than I was then. I don't know, I know it was good for me, I know it was bad for me, and I'm a better person to the people that I love, and so that makes everything a lot better, you know?
But I feel like 20s, you always like learn something like heavy.
Yeah.
20s, like we talked about the 20s off mic, even with David, and it was just like, for me, I don't know, it was just crazy, because it was like, or even too, you said like 25 is like a reset. I feel like I had a reset like every 3 years in my 20s.
Yeah.
So it was like all these like little mini like chapters of like good and bad, and then it was just crazy. Or it's like crazy to think that like 10 years ago I was 23. Like that's insane.
Yeah. I don't know, it's even weird for me, and I know people who are older than me hate when I say stuff like this, but even talking to like 20, like my little sister's 21, and I feel like we're in completely different like
zones.
Yeah, for sure. And I was like, me at 21 feels like a lifetime ago. It feels like so long ago. It was like 4 years. But I don't know. It's just, I try not to age myself, but at the same time, I can't help but like feel like my life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's not even like my life has been so terrible, but it's just like, I don't know, your life, like you feel the shit that's
you feel your life.
Yeah,
that's like a lyric.
Yeah.
Well, and I feel like in some weird way, I feel like if you're not feeling your life, you're doing a disservice, and someone's like obviously numbing themselves.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
For sure.
Or like even like some of the crazy things I've experienced, it's like you might numb yourself now, but at some point it's gonna pop back up if you don't deal with it.
Yeah, and that's something else I'm also dealing with. It's just like doing like stupid shit when I was younger, and not even like necessarily like super demonstrative to myself, but just like I don't know, just having flashbacks and just like why was I that person? Why was I that person?
But I guess, and I've had the same too, but it's like because it helped. It was a piece of the puzzle that helped you get where you're at now.
Yeah, which is I try to go back to that too.
You know,
go back to that too. Yeah, for sure.
Or two, I just this is for my new season, but on my last season, I talked to my friend who's a licensed mental health counselor, and I had someone say this to report to me as well, but that like, you know, what's traumatic to me, if I share that with you, you might not think it's traumatic and vice versa, but that doesn't change that like it was trauma.
Exactly.
And so, yeah, you just, I don't know, because I'm acting like I know shit. I don't know shit. Okay.
No, I'm just saying, because like sometimes sharing that kind of information on like a wide scale, it feels like some people like to make it a trauma competition, and it's like I'm just trying to be like, hey, I'm sad sometimes, just like you. I'm just trying, exactly. I'm just trying to be authentic, and then sometimes I don't know, people just have to take it upon themselves to.
But you know what? Those people that do that, like they'll like more than likely compete with you on any level of what it is. Like, if you're gonna compete on like what, like trauma and like really sad stuff, then I can only imagine.
In some kind of like work field or something, yeah.
But kind of going off topic, but not really. Going back to Charlotte, like, what do you think? Like, since you like, even in the last like 5 years, like, what do you think of all this change?
I think it's good that Charlotte is trying to change and expand and grow. Charlotte desperately, well, I shouldn't say desperately, it's a negative connotation, but Charlotte really wants to be a metropolis, I feel like, and it's kind of getting there, but the thing is, you can't have a big metropolis without a big, like, migration, and being out and about a lot more often, having to do, like, pop-up events and stuff like that. People who are from Charlotte sometimes seem reluctant to welcome people who are like coming from up north or wherever, because there's so many transplants now. And I'm like, okay, well, you can't grow a bigger city without more people in it, and it kind of takes a long time to grow people, like from a baby to an adult,
Right.
You know? So,
Do you feel like Charlotte like lacks culture? Do you feel like that's a misconception, or?
I don't think it's a misconception. I think Charlotte doesn't know what direction it really wants to latch onto with its like culture. But the other thing is too, I don't know. I feel like Charlotte wants to be a big metropolis, but it also wants to hold on to like a small southern city type thing. But I'm like, you can't have both. You can't have both. And I feel like a lot of times the kind of, I don't know, the theme or like vibe of Charlotte kind of gets misconstrued and lost because it can't like figure that out. I don't know. Just the whole aesthetic of the city just feels kind of like choppy sometimes.
I feel like even, I know this might be weird, but maybe not. I feel like even, I think the vibe in Charlotte, and maybe you could say this with any major city right now, is like even weirder post in this pandemic. I feel like, I don't know, I mean, not that like uptown was like the place to be, but like going uptown in the last few months, it's kind of, in my opinion, it's eerie, or it feels empty. Even if like there's people walking by me, it's just, so I'm like, it's almost like I can't get a vibe right now.
Even like, I want to say, I don't know, there's definitely like the hot spots, like Noda, I don't know, like Optimus Hall, I was there the other night, but it still feels like, I don't know, interactions still feel a little timid, which is 100% understandable. And I think as Charlotte grows and changes, it's gonna have to define itself for that really to happen more. Because I was talking to, who was I talking to? I was talking to someone the other day, but basically they were saying like nothing happens in Charlotte, nothing big happens in Charlotte. Like concerts come, but like, I don't know, it's not garnering the attention I feel like Charlotte thinks it deserves. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. So essentially, Charlotte is a queen.
Yes, literally. Maybe it's just, you know.
That's always been the vibe. We just didn't know it.
Just worked it out.
Yeah.
Just worked it out. Worked it out, literally.
Interesting. That makes me like ponder. Yeah. I think, I don't know. I don't want to go too much on about Charlotte, but I do feel like, I don't know, especially like when you've grown up here and like, even though I moved away for a bit and then I've come back, like I feel like I'm still so in it. Just like any situation, like if you're in a situation, it's really hard to like give an assessment of it because that's all you kind of know.
Yeah, which is fair, and that's why I'm trying to travel more, because before COVID, I was traveling all the time, and like multiple times a year, just to get out, just to be somewhere else. Because ultimately, I do want to move out of Charlotte.
Mm-hmm. Where would you want to go? Or you don't know?
But see, that's the thing, I don't know. Because I want to travel with work more. Stupid sweet. I want to operate on sort of a mobile food basis. But there's a little more to that that I've been playing with some ideas. But anyway, so I want to travel more with work, and so I would have to figure out where would my home base be. But the thing is, I know I don't want it to be in the South. And so I don't know.
Because you're over the South?
Yeah, honestly. Because I feel like every time I start to feel a little bit better about the direction Charlotte is going in, a little bit better about just the general culture of people, and like, I don't know, not to be plain about it, but like being nice is cool now. So that's so that's the thing. But sometimes it still feels a little fake, you know. And I'd rather, yeah, exactly. And so I'd rather live somewhere where, I don't know, I could fucking, I don't know, step in some pee on a subway than someone smiling in my face and fucking hates me. I don't know.
I dig it.
All arbitrary, but yeah.
I dig it. Well, I am a big advocate of Black Lives Matter, and always have been before it was like labeled and marketed and people made money off of it.
Yeah.
But do you feel like as a black woman, like you can't fuck with people that don't get that?
Absolutely not. I can't at all. I don't know why this is the first story that popped into my head. Jesus Christ. But when I was in 9th grade, I stopped being friends with this girl because she was homophobic and she was always talking shit about Obama. So I stopped being friends with her. And then, like, months later, she would come back and be like, hey, you know, like, I'm sorry, like, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's not that deep, or, like, that kind of thing. And I'm like, no. So I'm
Wait,
like,
she apologized for being homophobic and hating Obama?
no, she was trying to say that it wasn't that big of a deal. And so I was like,
It is a big deal.
it is, kind of, yeah. And so I just stopped talking to her. But no, I've always been, I was about to say, I've always been with the shits, but I was like, I'm not. Like, I'm not putting up with that. Absolutely not at all. And so, I don't know. It's, like, even, for instance, Minho Roasting Company, I hosted my first pop-up here, like when I first opened. And I found them because I literally Googled black-owned coffee shops near me. And so they came up because I was like, I mean, that's where I'm going to start always. That's where I'm going to start always. And so, and the thing is, like, not for a little while, but, like, I used to be, like, ashamed about that. I felt like I couldn't, like, say that out loud. But I'm like, fuck it. Like, no. Like, start black always. Always.
Well, it's just like if someone is Jewish, they're more likely to, like, network and do business with other Jewish individuals. They do black culture. Yeah.
Exactly. It's the exact same thing. And so I'm like, I'm not gonna, I don't know, why would I not start with my community, you know? Like, it feels like I grew up in a way where it felt like helping others wasn't an option. It was just what you do. And so it's always stuck there first, you know?
That's
just
awesome.
like within your community. I will say, as much as I complain about my parents and how they raised me, I blamed them earlier today for giving me ADHD. And they were like, we couldn't have had you diagnosed because you didn't talk as a child. And I was like, fair.
Interesting. Did you really not talk as a kid?
No, I was really shy. Even now, like, when I don't want to get all cocky, but, like, when I go out into social situations, like, I have to, like, slightly, like, alleviate myself to, like, relax my anxiety. Because, like, even before COVID, like, I've always been, like, as I've gotten older, I overcompensate for, like, my shyness now by being, like, overconfident. So now I just can't shut the fuck up because I've been practicing so long. So I'm just like, this is just what I am now. But I feel like, I was thinking about this the other day, I feel like I grew up in my Pisces moon, but, like, as a child, but then, like, as I got older, my, like, Leo sun was more prominent.
Interesting.
And also I listened to, like, way too much, like emo shit as a kid. And so, like, I, like, dressed kind of, like, in, like hats and, like, hot topic shit. So, like, I had to, like, come out of my shell. Otherwise, I would be bullied. And I can't. But,
Interesting. Was it interesting you dropped the, like,
That's rolling. Can you do the snap, I think, for me? Let me hold the mic and then do it again. Good enough.
Okay, so during commercial break, we're gonna go back to being shy, but we started to get into like sign, rising, moon, all of that stuff.
yes.
What is the most important thing to know besides your main sign?
Ooh, besides your main signs, I want to say it's your 12th house. I think I follow a couple different, like, astrology Twitters and, like, astrology TikToks and stuff. And I've seen a couple different YouTube videos. I want to say besides your big three, your 12th house, I think is supposed to be like your next, like big, like identity identifier type, like I guess personality identifier type thing, like whatever planet or sign, if you do have one. So I want to say, I may fact check this, but I want to say sometimes some people may not even have a placement in their 12th house. So I think that's a possibility too, but I know that's supposed to be a big like signifier or something as well.
Interesting.
And as I'm saying that, I'm trying to remember what mine is, and I can't recall.
It's okay. Well, we were talking about that, like you were kind of surprised to know that I was Sagittarius.
Yeah.
What sign do I come off like?
Honestly, I'm trying to think back when I first met you. I don't pick up Sagittarius. I'm leaning a little more towards the Taurus, only because, okay, so my mom and brother are both Sagittarius, but my mom is a November Sagittarius, my brother's a December, but my little sister, her birthday is April 19th. She's an Aries Taurus cusp, and I feel a lot more Taurus energy from you than Sagittarius.
Interesting. Yeah, because I feel like, I don't know, just in recent years, I'm like, the more I read into Taurus, once I found out I was Taurus rising, that I was like, oh wow, like I'm also like hardcore this.
Yeah, I can see that.
I'm stubborn. I like food and I like to fuck.
I mean, like core values. Like core values.
But I mean, isn't that like, I mean, I remember one time I told a Taurus guy that and they're like, Katie, everyone likes food and likes to fuck. Stop.
Like, do they? Because some people literally don't. There's a whole thing about it. It's a whole thing. But I just like, because like with my little sister, she's very like, she knows what she wants. She's like, I'm going to do whatever I have to do. I'm going to do whatever I have to do, however long it takes. I know what I want. You can tell me different. These are my opinions. I have them. If you have a different one, you can talk to somebody else about it. Like,
interesting.
Just very like, she's straightforward. She's transparent. And when she meets people, she's warm, you know? And I just like, I felt that same energy when I first met you. For sure.
Thank you. Yeah, what's interesting too, and I've talked about this, I'm sure like a broken record throughout my seasons, but I feel like, with the exception of some of the apps that we talked about that we're not going to plug, because they're not paying for it. Yeah, they're not sponsoring me. But I feel like I've slowly in the last 10 years gotten away from like what's your horoscope today, and actually like studying the nuts and bolts of the sign.
Exactly.
Because it's way deeper than like, someone might disappoint you today.
Exactly. Because it's funny when I think about it. Because when I was a kid, I've always been into horoscopes, and I guess it's just developed now. Like you're saying, it's just developed into actually learning. Okay, this is my birth chart. This is what these transits mean. And when the moon is in this phase, it can affect me in this way, and these are things I need to look out for. And the other thing is too, for me personally, like, because the more I got into it, was when I also got into more just like self-help type stuff. It's just like trying to learn every aspect of myself that I can, and kind of help myself understand why I think certain things, why I may think certain things, and just like that. Just how my birth chart, how astrology ties to that, to like my core being, and seeing like, oh well, I don't know, if other people are experiencing this, if there's some literature on why I may be feeling this way, and I don't know, it's cool to read up on it and just know yourself better, you know.
True that. Now circling back around to you were talking about that, like, or as a kid, or even still, maybe it's not as intense, like deal with being like shy.
Yeah, oh yeah, because I was saying, my parents said I never talked. Just, I don't know, as I've gotten older, I've learned that I don't know, it started to feel like not an option to be shy anymore, and
like in a positive vibe, or
well, not necessarily. Okay, so like as a kid, I'm saying as a kid, I'm thinking back to instances when I was like 14, but I don't know, I never enjoyed having to react with like other people on a large scale. I remember in like summers growing up, going to my grandma's house, and like sometimes if she like went to work during the day, she'd drop us off at the Boys and Girls Club. And it's just like a zoo of children. It was like a nightmare situation for me. I was like this, like having to socialize with like other kids, which is like
not your thing.
Worst possible, like worst case scenario for me. And then so it got to a point where I was like, I don't want to interact with other kids, and I don't like having to interact with other kids. But
that's an awesome soundbite.
It's like I don't want to. Like, I don't want to. But I think when I got to like 4th grade, I got to about like 4th grade or so, I had like my first like best friend, and we like actually when I was in 4th grade, the house we were living in, actually I think that was between us moving from DC to North Carolina, like back to North Carolina, and that was like the first like best friend I had, and like the first time I felt like, I don't know, that there was like another person who kind of like understood me. And the thing is, and that's why I think I was saying this when we were off camera, how I felt like as a kid I was more of my Pisces moon, because I was just like so emotional. I was like, nobody understands me, and like everything that's going on in my head, no one's ever experienced any like child thoughts. And so I know it was the first time I felt like I had like someone who actually could like relate to me like on some level. And which is so weird to think about, like as like a literal child, but I just did not talk to anybody. I was not talking to anybody. So I guess it was just the first kid that I met. I was like, outside of like I guess family that I felt like I could talk to or whatever. And I guess like from there it just like grew, and then like went to middle school and high school and stuff. I still didn't like having to interact with people on a large scale. The first like 2 years of high school, I fucking hated it. I hated high school so much. Like I fucking hated it. Like especially the first half. Really just because like I went to Independence High School, which is literally down the street, and both like when I was a freshman, my brother was a senior, and he'd gone there all 4 years, and he was on the football team, and he was really popular and shit. And so like by the time I got there, and I was like all emo and shit, and like we had some of the same teachers, and they were like, oh, you're Drake's sister, expecting me to be like, 'cause he was like bubbly, popular football player. He was in the fucking morning announcements. And so when I was in their classes, they were expecting like
the same kind of vibe,
but I was like in there in my like fucking like Volcom like hoodie, like with my headphones in, like don't talk to me, like I'm listening to fucking Pierce the Veil. And so it was like literally I remember there being an incident where like one of my teachers pulled my brother to the side and was like, is Autumn okay? Like she doesn't seem to like really like enjoy school. And then it obviously got back to me, and I was like, no, I don't enjoy school.
Tell me, show me who does.
No, like literally, like when I was a freshman in high school, I would like go on my lunch break and like smoke weed in the books. I hated school. I hated school. And like now thinking back, like I don't know, could I have just been like an angsty teenager? But anyway, so
No. Well, I know on my show is like we'll go down 1,800 different roads, but I mean I hated high school too. But like assessing like why I hated it, like I don't think I've like found that out, because I don't know
why. Yeah, like why?
But then I feel like also too like the people that are like, and even though I told someone this earlier, like I randomly love middle school, but I hate like, so that's weird.
Yeah,
that's weird, right? But I like hated high school, but I was obsessed with like all these like random bullshit things that like happened, or like I would romanticize them in my head because I like grew up watching 90210, and so I like tried to like put that scenario into the school, and it, like didn't.
It's like the story's not there.
Yeah. First of all, everyone that I thought, I don't know, but basically circling back around to the shy thing, and then we'll close that chapter. So I'm really close with my dad and my mom, but so basically, when I first started doing this, my mom had like made friends with this woman, Jennifer, at the bar with her husband. And they were like, somewhere in Charlotte. I think they were at Reed's. Shout out Reed's. And she was like, conversating about what I was doing, or whatever. And so my mom actually networked with me to interview this woman whose episode is called Queen Charlotte. I can't remember if it's my first or second season, but anyways, but she had told me when she got there, like, oh, your mom's like so funny and like talkative and stuff like that, but your dad is seems like really shy, like something to that effect. But it was interesting because I'm so close with my dad that I never looked at him from that viewpoint of being shy. But now ever since she told me that, I'm like, oh my god, my dad is shy.
So like other people.
I don't know if that like connects to you.
No, it does, because now when I tell people that I'm shy, they're like, no, you're not, and I'm like, I'm trying very hard to be here having this conversation with you. Not literally, but like, I'm like, this is like, I'm doing a lot to make this happen for us right now. Like, no, I'm still like, I'd rather be like clamshell.
When I kind of went back and asked my dad, and I wish I like took notes or whatever, he'd have been like, this is weird. But well, because I know that right. But
Yeah.
he told me something about that, like, he opens up, like, when he feels like it's comfortable and it's worth it.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, I, for so long, I mean, I'm still kind of like that, where it's just, like, I will just, like, word vomit.
Same. I went, like, once the clamshell opened, it's like, it's broken now. It's never, the latch is shot. Like, I can't shut it.
So interesting. So I guess, like, shy, just like everything else, is a scale, right? Shyness,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah. Because, like, my boyfriend, he could be called shy. Everyone, like, cause he's just not very talkative. Like, we could run the car for 2 hours, he wouldn't say a word, and I'd be like, ooh, and he's just, like, happily listening.
chilling.
Yeah, he's just chilling. But, like, when we, like, go out and we meet people, they're like, oh, like, just not, like, I remember when we first started dating, taking him, like, when we first started going to, like, family events together, people were like, oh, like, doesn't talk very much, like, what's his deal? And I'm like, I mean, what is he gonna say? Like, what do you guys want to talk about? Like,
Let him know the topic.
Yeah, like, do you want to catch up? Like, what do you mean? And it's funny going from being a shy child to being in a relationship where I'm the talkative one. So now I kind of get a little defensive when people are like, oh, why isn't he talking? Or why is he so shy?
Because you've been there before.
Yeah, and I'm like, first of all, he doesn't have shit to say to you. He doesn't have to. He doesn't owe you anything. But meanwhile, he's really just he's literally just chilling, and I'm the only one, like, angry because he's always just chilling. But
That's interesting. I love that. Okay, so I'm gonna get into, like, some pop culture stuff, good and bad.
For sure.
So we are not even a year out from Trump. And so what was that, like, period like for you? Did you check? I've talked to some people that, like myself, obsessed with the news, wanted to know everything because they were horrified. And I've also talked to people that are like, I actually checked out.
Yeah,
Which one were you?
I checked out of certain parts of the news circuit. Now that you mention it, a lot of the news that I got specifically, or that I would get specifically about Trump, would be, like, from my family, like, from my parents telling me. But the news I was paying attention to, I was paying attention to, like, the protests. I was paying attention to people who just been shot, like, people's families who are looking for funds for after effects and things like that. Like, that's the kind of news that I was tuning into, and also more international news, like global news. But as far as, I don't know, I won't say it was like this from the beginning, like since 2016, but I got to a certain point in the Trump presidency where I was like, I know my life is threatened no matter what I do, so I'm just gonna have to keep fucking living my life anyway. And it just didn't serve me to every other day be like, oh my god, did you see this fucked up thing Trump did? Did you see this fucked up thing we found out about Trump?
Just be in obsession?
Yeah, and I'm like, I can't, like, I can't, like, I don't know, I just can't. I don't know, it's like, I don't know, like, why continuously bring up, like, angry emotions constantly? And I'm like, if I'm gonna pay attention to what's happening, I'm gonna pay attention to the news, I'm gonna at least pay attention to something that's gonna tell me something I can help or something I can do. I just know, I got to a point, because honestly before, I was like super like my CNN notifications on, like constantly reading like articles and after article, and I'm just like, I can't do it anymore. And it's honestly, it was the same thing when COVID started. Like I have like news alerts on for like COVID-19, like constantly, like news cycle, just like watching updates, like seeing like when it first came in and all this kind of stuff. And I just got to a point where I was like, I can't do this because I'm just scaring myself to death, like even more. So it's like,
it's going to be there whether I obsess about it or not.
Exactly. And so it's like trying to find a balance between like checking out and staying aware. You know,
that's good.
Yeah.
Do you feel like, you know, with the movements, I talked about Black Lives Matter earlier, do you feel like in the movement, in lockdown, George Floyd, like I've repeatedly said that, and I don't know how you would feel if you were his family, but I feel like in some sick way, like that had to happen when we were all locked up. Like, bet your ass, like if you were not aware that this went on, there's no denying you when you're literally locked up.
Exactly. And the thing is, it's like, it's always happened, and I think I read somewhere something to the effect of the point you're making, but this thing, it's happened all the time. It's always happened. But people didn't have a choice, and that there's nothing else you possibly could be doing but paying attention to this. And I think the point last summer where Black Lives Matter gained a lot of traction with, like, after he was killed, I think it was I don't want to say light switch, but
there was some kind of shift.
Yeah, there was a shift. People, like, because I mean, like you said, basically people had their nose put in it, you know? And then Breonna Taylor people had their nose put in it and didn't have any choice but to look away. But sorry, I'm mixing my words because I'm getting
you're fine.
But, like, they couldn't look away. You know, people couldn't look away. And so now we're at a point where it's obvious. People have addressed it, media has addressed it, companies, I guess it being just, I don't know, the overt racism in America, which everyone has always known about, but now we're having a lot more open conversations about it, like this one. And unfortunately, I feel like now it's gotten to a point where it's been watered down, and it's starting to feel like an aesthetic. And it's just, I don't know. I don't have receipts on what every person does in their free time with their disposable income and what they do with their disposable time. I have no idea. But I don't know. It's just like, for instance, today I was on TikTok, and I was on. Do you know who Charlie D'Amelio is?
All right.
Yeah, it's like a baby.
Okay.
Celebrity thing. Yeah.
But tell me, what's it?
So she is like, she's a I don't know, if I said this like an 18-year-old, they know who she is. She's a big, huge fucking deal. On TikTok, she has like almost like 120 million followers on TikTok,
okay.
which was a lot. And her profile picture is Black Lives Matter. It's just that, right? And so I'm like, I appreciate the effort, but I'm really hoping this isn't the only effort. You know what I mean?
She's posting a picture.
Yeah, because I'm like, yeah, you can say Black Lives Matter, but I mean, it's like the kind of the rhetoric people have been mentioning now, where you can't just say Black Lives Matter, you can't just be like, no racism, you have to be anti-racist kind of thing, where it's like not just saying Black Lives Matter, it's saying, okay, well, because Black Lives Matter, we need to do X, Y, and Z, you know what I mean? Not just the surface level, like, hey guys, like, by the way, I'm not racist. It's like, that's not enough anymore. Like, that's not enough anymore. And for so long, white people have gotten away with just being like, hey, I'm not racist. And it's like,
which
it's
is
great.
like being a white honky.
Yeah.
Like, that shouldn't be something that, like, you have to, like, very, like, make clear to me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, I don't know, if your heart is in different types of like activism, or just helping people on a large scale, no matter who they are, I think it's gonna come through and it's gonna be obvious. I don't think you have to be like, hey, now, you know, I'm not racist. It's just like, I don't know, that's not enough anymore. You know, it's not enough anymore just to a flat like blanket statement kind of thing. It's like, okay, well, what
are you gonna do about it?
Yeah, what are we gonna do about it? How are you being active? You know, how are you combating this? How are you educating people? You know?
Well, and I think that's something that, like, I've always struggled with in the back of my mind. Like, I thought, like, oh, you know, part of me having this show is I always, or even before the show, because, like, I would talk shit to people.
Yeah.
And I was always thought, like, maybe, like, this sounds so crazy, but, like, maybe God made me white, because when I deliver what I feel passionately about Black lives, or like any people of color, that like maybe it'll come across different to other white people because I'm white.
Yeah.
But again, also too, it's like, hey, Katie, you want to talk and talk and talk. I mean, the platform does help, but it's like, yeah, like, but even in my head, what can I do? Like, and I feel like lost because like I don't know what I can do.
Yeah. And I think going to what you were saying about God made you white. That's so. that's so.
But isn't it funny that my last name's Black?
Yeah, it is really funny. I was just gonna say that I've always thought it's important. I've always thought it's extremely important that the fact of the matter is, I feel like it's extremely difficult for any marginalized group in America to get any movement off the ground, to make any actual traction and progress without a white person there telling other white people that it's something that they should be concerned about. And like, unfortunately, that's just how it works. And so, I mean, we need allies like you, because otherwise it wouldn't happen. And I'm not saying it's all on white people to step up, but it's like
It's an important part of the puzzle.
It's an important part of the puzzle, and unfortunately, it's because we're in America. And I'm not saying like day to day black people can't get shit done without white people. I mean, like making certain changes in certain arenas. Unfortunately, that's the game that has to be played, and it's, I don't know, it's sad. And honestly, we're getting to the point where it's not like, I don't know, it's not, I guess we're getting to the point now where it's not 100% true all the time, because now I'm thinking about like this past election and the voter turnout in more marginalized communities, and the black voter turnout like the Georgia Senate race and stuff. And I don't know, I think we're finally getting to a point where we're seeing allies actually do productive work and not take the voice away from the people who actually are trying to speak up in ways that has been done in the past. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, and I think too, obviously there's so many layers. I feel like
which is
anything.
The thing too.
I mean, that's anything that's really heavy. But I feel like there's a group of people that like, kind of, this one's crazy, but like don't really understand what racism is, so it's hard for them to say I'm not.
Yeah.
When I think too, like, I'm speaking on my generation. I think you're the generation behind me, but like millennials, I like our group, and again, we won't go into it, but we can go down a path of what our education system is. But I feel like I grew up in a time where like racism was like you couldn't sit here, or like you can't use this water fountain, and it's like now racism is way different. Racism is just like you said, like the voter shit in Georgia. Yeah, you don't have the right to vote. We're gonna like gerrymander counties, and you know what I mean. So I think that's a hard concept for white people to like have this thing of like what that they were shown back in the day in the 50s and 60s, and then trying to place it
now. So they're like, Jim Crow was decades ago, and I'm like, it's still happening. Like, it's still there. The laws are still there. Like they're very much alive, and it's just because they've been updated, just because it's not obvious to them, because I mean they don't experience that day to day, and it's like just because it's not obvious to you doesn't mean it's not happening. But you also have to, I don't know, for you to say you genuinely care, or that you're genuinely like, oh, I'm not racist, or I'm anti-racist, and it's like, okay, well, you have to learn to recognize that it's beyond just the surface stuff, it's beyond just, I don't know, a dirty look in a grocery store, I don't know, but like, it's deeper than that, it's black makeup influencers getting paid thousands less than white ones, doing the exact same thing. Sometimes better.
Or I've read about like people on sets of like television shows or commercials or movies, like black actors and actresses, and like no one knows how to do their makeup.
Oh my god, can I please say this, because this is so insane. The black girl from High School Musical, the movies, the first couple movies, the reason she wore headbands with the wigs is because no one on the set knew how to do her hair. And I'm like, and she was on national television dancing and singing with a headband wig on because no one knew how to do her hair. Like at Disney Channel, like it was Disney,
and it wasn't like that was like 50 years ago.
No, like they couldn't find. I'm like, there were black actors and actresses with amazing hair in, I don't know, when did fucking High School Musical come out?
I'd say like, I don't know, 12 years ago maybe.
Yeah, and they just couldn't spring for a decent hairdresser. Just didn't bother. For 4 movies, they didn't bother. That's insane. I don't know.
Well, I appreciate you letting me talk to you and discuss racism. I appreciate it.
I appreciate this conversation.
Thank you. Ditto. Now on to some lighter stuff, but not really. Yeah. So I've been following the Free Britney movement. Do you have any thoughts? Do you know what's up?
Okay, so I do know what's up. I've been a Britney Spears fan as long as I could know what music was.
What up?
I am number one fan though. I actually read something today. I didn't read the whole article. I saw the headline. It said that I think it was Miley Cyrus, Mariah Carey, like 2 other artists were starting like a legal fund. Christina Aguilera, and there's someone else.
Miley, Mariah, and there was
Miley,
someone else.
Mariah,
there was like 4
Christina. Is that wait? there was a more. I just said it. I forget. But anyway, starting a legal fund to help try to end her conservatorship. I honestly, so I've always like followed like Britney like on social media and stuff. And I remember about like a year or two ago when I first started seeing more stuff on her Instagram, it started looking kind of funky. And then I ended up following the Britney Spears Reddit, and then that's what it was like, only talking about that, like pretty much like her conservatorship and like how weird her posts were and all this kind of stuff. And honestly, at this point, I hashtag free Britney, honestly. I don't know, and even before all of this started happening recently, the older I've gotten, I know it's kind of a meme where people will be like, oh, well, now that I'm older, I understand why Britney shaved her head, and blah, blah, blah. And, like, people make jokes about it and stuff, but even at the time, I remember, like, when that video came out, when the guy was like, leave Britney alone, like, I remember genuinely thinking, like, but, yeah, like, leave her alone. Like, leave her alone. Just because, I don't know, as a kid growing up, and literally having, like, a pop idol, like, I loved Britney Spears. Well, still do. And just, like, I don't know, just growing up and seeing this and watching this on TV, it's just like how it was just incredible seeing how the media could bring someone down like that, you know? It was just, like, sad, tragic.
73 minutes? Okay. I was like, well, I guess to wrap it up, I mean, what do you think has happened to her? Like, why do you think that she's unable to take care of herself?
I think there was paperwork signed a long time ago that she hasn't been able to get undone as she's gotten older. Because, like, when you think about it, she started performing when she was on,
like, a kid.
Yeah, when she was on, like,
Star Search.
Yeah, and was she on Mickey Mouse Club?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so I'm like, I don't know, I feel like whatever paperwork was set in place then,
like, it never got out. Like, well, not never got out, but just that, like, that was like the standard.
That was the standard. And then I think when she did have her, like, the mental episode, the episode she was having like the mid 2000s, I think somewhere in there, that's probably where, I don't know, maybe the paperwork was redone, or that's when things shifted, like, at that point. But I don't know. I don't know where it stemmed from exactly, but it just seems unnecessary at this point.
Unfair.
Yeah. Seriously unfair.
Well, Autumn, do you have fun?
I had so much fun!
Yes! Okay, tell everyone where they can find you on social media.
You can go to Stupid Sweet Bakery on Instagram, Facebook, no spaces, and Stupid is spelled with 2 O's.
What up? Thank you so much. It happened!
Yay! It happened! It was
Thank
so
you!
fun. This is the best.
Woo! Yay!
Thank you, Katie Black. You're amazing. Thank you, love.
I love your energy.
Yes,
I
great
do.
energy.
I love it.
What up?